everybody. Welcome to the Spotlight on Middle Country. My name is Lenore and I am the president of the Greater Middle Country Chamber of Commerce.
And my name is Alex Blend, and I work for the Miller Business Center at the Middle Country Public Library.
So the Spotlight on Middle Country is a program that we've decided to put together in collaboration with the Greater Middle Country Chamber and the Miller Business Resource Center to highlight some of the great businesses that we have here right in our community, as well as some great restaurants and some parks and things that you may not even know exist here. So I hope you enjoy this segment. I'm happy to introduce today as our special guest, Charles Gallagher, who is the owner of the ShopRite in Selden. And I know each and every one of us have had an opportunity to go shopping at ShopRite. Welcome, Charles. How are you today?
Great. Thank you. Nice to see everybody.
Yes, you as well. Thank you for joining us. And we're going to start just by asking you, what's your background? How did you get started in the business? I think the people would like to learn a little bit about you. So tell us about yourself and how did you get started in the grocery business?
Well, I actually started as a young kid. This is about 47 years in the business now. Started collecting shopping carts, did just about every job in the store. I stayed with the business to work my way through college and just grow more and more fond of it. And so when I came out of college, I decided to pursue a career in the business. I actually started with a family that's another ShopRite owner. I had the opportunity to work with 4 generations of that family. And it's just been a great career. About 8 years ago, I came in and opened my own ShopRite store. So now we have 50 different families. Actually, we just brought on our 51st family that operate ShopRite stores throughout the New York metropolitan area.
Wow, that's great. That's amazing. I mean, I know personally you have the Selden area ShopRite as well as Port Jeff Station and recently opened Ronkonkoma, correct?
That is correct. I mean, we came to this area, started in Selden. We had a lot of customers from those other areas who asked us to go in. We also had a lot of various public officials asked to help revitalize some of the other shopping centers locally, and that's something you'll see ShopRite do throughout the New York metropolitan area. You'll find out that the owners are very vested in the area. They open a store, they stay there for generations, they take care of the neighborhood. Our employees work in the neighborhood. Our employees grew up in this neighborhood, and there's a real sense of community, and it's not a job. It's our life. It's what we do every day. We just enjoy meeting the local customers, working with the local employees. The employees know the customers. Little different from a big chain where employees might transfer from Brooklyn to Queens to Selden. Most of our key employees you'll find grew up in the community, were born in the community, went to high school here, and know most of the customers. And that gives us a big advantage, makes my job easier because I know every employee is going to take care of their friend, their neighbor, and a family. I don't really have to worry about that. There's that level of commitment and trust. A customer will come in our store. There is no big corporate office to call. They know the people in the store. When they need assistance, they can go right to that person they went to elementary school with and get any issue they have resolved. And I'm sure you can attest to that.
Yes, absolutely.
I've shopped many times in the ShopRite in Selden. I also live pretty close to the one in Port Jefferson Station, so I go there as well. And it's really very, very, it's a warm feeling when you go in and shop and you see the same faces, working the registers, stocking your shelves. It's always the same faces. And that's a wonderful thing. And you are a big, economic generator for jobs here in our community. And we appreciate that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
You mentioned the cash register, and that's, you know, that's something. We do have our longtime career employees. We have numerous employees been here since we opened. Actually, most of the full-timers we started with are all still here. But, you know, quite honestly, a lot of the people in the cash register, it's their first job. These are your kids, your neighbors' kids, and it's a great opportunity for them to learn. And unfortunately for me, some of the best will go on and do bigger and better things. We have them
You should
start here when
only
they're in
hope,
high school.
right?
They go to college, they leave, they come back. They're
Yeah,
doctors, they're lawyers, they're professionals,
that's
and
terrific.
they do great things. But in the meantime, I'm glad you brought up the cash registers, because I'm extremely impressed and proud of the young people we have, how they've stepped up during this COVID emergency. If you look at our stores, those young people are there every day serving their families and their community. These are not irresponsible kids. These are
Yeah.
kids, a lot of them, that are paying for their own college. When college was interrupted and they went online or sent home from out of state, they came back to work and wanted to serve their community. Say, look, I got
Wow.
sent home from SUNY Buffalo. Can I work and help and go on the front line? And, you know, I couldn't be more impressed that these young kids stepping up. When a lot of people are hesitant to go to work today, these young people are stepping up, and I tell them, you really need to go home and tell your parents how proud I am of you, because I'm sure their parents are not always equally as proud. But
Surely.
really, this community should be proud of these young people, not just in my stores, but throughout. I mean, I'm so impressed how these young kids led the charge. And, you know, we have a young lady that's, you know, probably going to be a doctor someday, came in, did all the social distancing measures long before it was even put out by the CDC. She was putting masking tape on the floor
Wow.
and doing things. We had people hoarding sanitizer back in December who took that initiative. So
Wow.
I
Yeah.
couldn't be more impressed how the local employees took ownership, and because they know that their mother shops here, their grandmom shops here, their neighbor shops here, and they really do have a vested interest to make sure everybody in the community is safe. It's their community, and they really took ownership, and they deserve a heck of a lot of credit. And I know they take a lot of abuse, and I
Yeah.
couldn't be more proud of, especially the young employees that are working for us here.
I love that you make that mention, because I do think that you know, the young people don't get the credit that they deserve. I'm sure that their work requirements change, you know, pretty much overnight with this COVID-19, and like you said, these people are working on the front lines. Can you try to explain to us what exactly, or I mean, obviously there's a lot of obvious things that may change. We all are experiencing wearing the mask, staying 6 feet, the X's on the floor so that you can, you know, control the social distancing. What else has changed in your world since this COVID-19 hit?
Well, a lot. And you can see behind me, if I move, I have probably 25,000 gloves here. And I think I have about 20,000 sanitary wipes, where all throughout the day, our people are wiping touch points, as we call them. Anything that gets touched. And any business is going to have a huge additional expense. And if any business people are watching this podcast, they have to be prepared. All these sanitizer things are hard to get. They're expensive. Additionally, on an everyday basis, every week, we sanitize our store every night. We've been afraid of viruses in our business since we were born. We bring an overnight crew in 52 weeks a year and sanitize all our back of house operations 7 nights a week. We've always had products provided by Procter & Gamble that are antiviral agents. They kill coronaviruses. We've used them probably since the beginning of time. Our people go through educational practices and get ServSafe certified on food safety and learn about viruses and bacteria. All of our key people go through that training all the time anyway. But with this, you know, we really stepped up our game. We've taken local contractors and bring them in overnight to do I guess you call it a antiviral spray of all services with the machine to just spray down walls and crevices,
Awesome.
place where people don't get overnight. I mean, this is something that has to be done to give you peace of mind. We also, the third party service that we use to sanitize overnight every week, some of their people have been laid off. They also clean schools, they clean the Tanger outlets, some restaurants. They've had some number of people that for which they've had no work. We've taken additional people from them that they're able to employ now, and we put them on during the day. Pretty incognito, but in each of our stores, you have people walking around all day. Their only job is sanitizing door handles on that milk door, the doorknobs, the keypads for your credit card. Their only job, full-time, 7 days a week. And these are people that were laid off because businesses had closed locally, and we were able to, you know, to employ them and at the same time help our folks out. We also brought in a local security company. We're using, you know, I'm trying to think here, a few hundred hours a week from an outside security firm to help monitor the social distancing. We've also limited the number of people in the store to about 20% of our occupancy. So every building has a certain occupancy limit. We're only allowing 1/5 of that in the building now, and we have a security firm to help monitor that. And these are people that were laid off also. One gentleman with the security firm worked for a school in security. They did the bars down in Patchogue, which are all closed. These were people out of work as well that we were able to bring in and, you know, help, you know, some of our customers get some employment during this downtime. So it's
That's
more or less
amazing.
one hand helping the other. We're being part of the community. We have these networks with local businesses, and we're able to get what we need real quick while also helping them with what they need.
So Charlie, that was that really is amazing what you have had to do to change your business. There's a lot of changes that have to be made in order to be open during a pandemic. And, you know, kudos to you that you have been able to help out a lot of local community members and give them jobs, the ones that are willing to work on those front lines. Kudos to them. They're warriors in my mind, for sure. My question to you then, Charlie, is going to be, what would be the advice you would give these businesses, whether they be small or large, now ready to hopefully in the next week or so open? What piece of advice would you give to them?
Well, my strategy is always three-phase. First, it's survive, grow, then thrive. So when you go in, you're in survival mode. When this pandemic started, we didn't know if we were going to be open or not. We didn't know if supplies were going to move. We didn't know if employees wouldn't want to come to work. So first, it's all about do everything you can just to survive and get the business operating. Then worry about how am I going to grow business? What am I going to sell? You know, if you get that all down, then you worry about thriving later. But right now, unfortunately, it's all about survival. There's a lot of extra expenses and procedures that have to be gone through very carefully to operate during a pandemic. We did not force any employee come to work. Any employee who was not comfortable coming to work was told they could stay home. We also, most of our employees get a lot of paid sick time that they could use, or personal time. For those who had not yet earned it, we offered additional sick time, or sick time in advance of earning it. For anybody who felt ill, we did not want them coming to work for economic reasons. We told people, stay home. We'll make sure you get paid for sick time. And to be honest with you, other than those who took off, you know, because they weren't comfortable coming to work, like the 77-year-old gentleman that works for me, was in a high-risk group, chose to stay home, that's great. But other than that, our attendance has been really good. And I don't think we've had, with all these other measures in place, I don't think we've even had anybody get a cold this year or a sniffle because of all the other measures you have in place.
That's amazing. I think, which actually brings me to another one of the questions that we had thought of. Let's say, I know you have put into place some kind of regulations for your employees when they come in, to check to see if they are feeling ill or not. How do you deal with the if somebody does come in and they are ill? How would you deal with that?
Well, first of all, what we're doing currently, we're temperature checking everybody who comes in before they punch in, they get a mask. But even prior to that, I send out a daily email because I have 3 buildings and I have about 15 key department managers plus store management in every building, and every one of them supervises their own crew or staff. We do daily updates, constantly remind people if they see any type of illness or and constantly talk, if you don't feel well, go home or do not come into work. And that attitude has prevailed, and it's been fairly successful. But what we want people to know is that if you're ill during this pandemic, you will not be economically harmed. And that's a cost that we had to incur, but we had to approach it like the government, along with all these other costs: security, extra sanitation, sanitizers. It's basically survive, and we'll have to figure out how to pay for it later. You really have to take that approach, unfortunately. And your employees have to know that you have their health, safety, and interest at heart.
Yes.
They have to be comfortable coming to work, knowing they will be protected. And so, we put the gloves. I know other businesses, I've heard complaints, I can't get gloves, I can't get masks. We leave the door open. The gloves are not locked up. The sanitizers are not locked up. You want it, you come take what you need. We also, at the beginning, had employees bring ideas forth that we made sure we implemented. For example, we had employees take the break room tables, which are 2x2, separate them for social distancing. They took those tables and put them in front of our courtesy desk to expand the distance between the clerks and the customer.
That's great.
These are things employees thought of, and we had to allow that to happen because this thing hit quickly and nobody had the answers. But when you have all your people involved in the solutions, it really made it a lot easier for someone in my position. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely understand that.
When you have 650 employees all thinking how to keep everybody safe, it really makes a huge difference.
Lenore, do you mind if I just sneak? I'm sorry. Do you mind if I just sneak in one question?
Yes, of course.
So I know that ShopRite does the delivery service. I actually used it yesterday. Has your delivery service seen a dramatic increase since the beginning of the quarantine? Have you had to hire more drivers or like staff shoppers because of this, or like change people's shifts around because of that?
We did make some shift changes, but quite honestly, we could have done unlimited business. It was near impossible to train and hire and orientate people properly during a pandemic. So we were limited on the amount of staff that we had. We really have not brought in a number of people that you would have had that demand not been during a pandemic, because there is a quite lengthy process to training, orientating people, giving them all the safety training, buddying them up with a partner who shadows them all day long. That's tough with social distancing. So the surge in online business was worldwide. We knew it was coming, but our people stepped up and did what they could. But quite frankly, nobody in the online arena on the planet was able to satisfy all of the insatiable demand. A lot of our customers reverted to Instacart,
Yep, that's what I used.
Which is a third party. So that picked up a lot of the slack. But no, we really could not bring in another driver. Our drivers have to go through a lot of training. They go through a criminal background check because they're going to people's homes. All that takes a lot of time. And they go through an insurance background check. And you really couldn't pull that trigger that quickly. So we have a certain number of windows and slots that are available to order. Those slots were 100% filled up through the pandemic. And I think they still are. They still are filled up.
Yeah. Well, Charlie, I really appreciate all your time that you're giving us. You know, as the president of Middle Country Chamber, I'm dealing with a lot of businesses that are reaching out, asking, you know, some advice at how they can handle certain situations. You're going to be my go-to from now on, since you're living it.
Yeah, I have no problem with the local small businesses if they're wondering about expectations and so forth. We work with a number of them. A lot of our suppliers are repair and maintenance folks or local vendors. Some of our product suppliers are small businesses within their own, you know, that distribute products to us. So we're very familiar with their frustrations and more than glad to help them or connect them with people who have gone through similar things.
Yeah, well, we really appreciate that. And, you know, ShopRite in Selden, you guys have been an anchor in our community. You definitely at the beginning made a mention about, you know, being a blighted property and bringing it back. And I believe that you, ShopRite, started the trend because now if you go up and down the Middle Country Road, Selden, Center Reach, you can see businesses thriving all over. We're hoping and praying that in every way we can, between the chamber and the resources that the Miller Business Center can bring to them, that we're going to be able to come back stronger and harder. Charlie, thank you so much for your time. I so appreciate it. Is there any way that you'd like some people to reach out to you? Is there anything you'd like to share?
You know, if they want to forward things through you or the chamber, that works well, because a lot of times when they email me, it gets lost in my spam.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
If I know it's from you or through the chamber, and I would encourage them all to come to a chamber meeting where we have these very open discussions. So that would be my best advice for them when we have them, whether online or not. But again, I wish all these businesses well. My heart really aches for those who are suffering through this, the mom and pop businesses. But my wife reminds me that after the Spanish flu pandemic, what came in America? And it was the Roaring 20s.
Right. So
the Roaring 20s, the good times came, the good times rolled. So
we have good times ahead of us.
Yes,
we're looking for the Roaring 20s to come back.
That's what we like to hear. Yeah.
Well, Charlie, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. I hope everybody enjoyed this episode of Spotlight on Middle Country. We look forward to seeing you again. Thank you so much, Alex, for sharing the time with me.
Stay safe, everyone.
Thank you, Charlie.